Good afternoon. Welcome public health graduate students, alumni, faculty, and public health leaders of the future. I apologize for not being able to make it to your school today to present to you. I was sitting on the tarmac for about an hour and a half before they canceled the flight, so I apologize for not being there in person. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have, and at the end of this presentation, I will go ahead and send you a PDF of the slides as well as the YouTube link, along with the CPH Candidate Handbook, the CPH Flyer, the CPH Content Outline, and the brochure. So again, welcome public health graduate students, alumni, faculty of Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai MPH program. Today we'll be discussing the Certified in Public Health credential, or the CPH credential, and how it's populating the public health workforce, and why it's imperative for you to build your resume and invest in your career in public health by sitting for and successfully obtaining the CPH credential before you enter the workforce. With the CPH credential already in hand, you are making yourself more marketable and competitive against other applicants in this job market. This presentation will be about 45 minutes long with 15 minutes for questions. We'll hold the questions till the end. For those of you who logged into the webinar, you can key in your questions in the right-hand corner of the screen, and I'll receive those. And for those of you who are in the classroom right now, we'll hold the questions till the end. And if you have any questions, feel free to jot them down on a piece of paper, and we'll go over them at the end. My name is Kate Brundage, and I'm the Certification Program Manager for the National Board of Public Health Examiners. We're located in Washington, D.C., and we're available Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. During working business hours. Today we'll be discussing the MPH and the CPH exam, the history, the MPH Board of Directors, statistics and growth, the Institute for Credentialing Excellency, and an NCCA accreditation. Then we'll go over why the CPH, benefits, testimonials, how employers view the CPH, our pilot program and findings, why this is important to me, and then I'll briefly tell you about the ASPPH Public Health Jobs website. We'll go over the CPH process from eligibility. We'll also discuss provisional versus active CPH. We'll talk about the CPH exam, the difference between computer-based and paper-based, how the exams are scored, who will see your exams, how to register for the exam, rescheduling, scheduling, retaking the exam. We'll go over study resources, exam fees and discounts, as well as touch upon CPH recertification. So, the MPH and the CPH exam. The CPH is not just an exam, it's a credential, which means it has a governing board of directors, it has eligibility requirements, an entrance exam, a code of ethics, and a recertification process that every CPH professional would recertify every 2 years, and a code of ethics which all CPH must agree to adhere by. The CPH exam acts as a standard benchmark to measure an individual's grasp of contemporary public health topics. The recertification process elevates public health professionals to be on par with other health professions, such as their maintenance of their licenses, credentials, and certifications. And lastly, the CPH Code of Ethics, which all CPH professionals must agree to uphold, assures that essential services are delivered based on evidence and equity. So the MPH history. You may have heard of the Association of Schools and Programs for Public Health. ASPPH is the membership association for schools and programs of public health. APHA is the American Public Health Association. This is the membership association for individuals involved in public health. Hi, I apologize. I just realized that we were still on the first screen. So I'm going to go back, and we will just go back a few. So again, the CPH exam, it has a board of directors that has eligibility requirements, an entrance exam, and recertification every 2 years with a code of ethics. The MPH history, again, the ASPPH is the Membership Association for Schools and Programs of Public Health. APHA is the American Public Health Association. They're the membership association for the individual involved in public health. So eventually, many of you will join APHA as a public health individual, and you can benefit from their continuing education programs and their annual meeting as well as networking. So how did the CPH come about? In 1980, the U.S. Surgeon General went out to the field with a call to create a task force on the credentialing of public health workers. This task force reached out to stakeholders in the credentialing process, and the group evolved into a steering committee on public health workforce credentialing. In 1999, Dr. Mohammed Akhtar, the executive director of APHA, and Dr. Al Summer, the dean of Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health and the chair of the board of ASPPH, decided to jointly form the APHA-ASPPH Task Force on Public Health Workforce Credentialing. And in 2005, the MPH was created, and the inaugural certified and public health exam was administered in both the U.S. and international locations in August of 2008. The MPH awarded its inaugural CPH credentials to over 500 qualifying professionals. So the MPH Board of Directors is comprised of 6 executive committee members, 13 board of director members at large, 2 honorary members, and 2 staff members. The following logos are some of the organizations that employ MPH board members. These member organizations support the efforts of the MPH in the credentialing of public health professionals. They do this by spreading the word of the growing credential and by providing meaningful continuing education opportunities for the community of CPH professionals. You will see that American Public Health Association is listed here, APHA, Association of Prevention, Teaching, and Research, ASPPH, the Association of Schools and Programs of Public Health, ASHTO, and NACHO. There are many organizations here, and CEPH, you'll see at the bottom there. Now, CEPH is the Council on Education for Public Health. So Icahn School of Medicine is CEPH accredited, which means that their students and alumni are eligible to sit for the CPH exam, but we'll go into eligibility a little bit later. Here are some statistics. Since 2008, the MPH has credentialed over 5,600 CPH professionals. 500 are provisionally certified at any given time, and we'll go into the difference between a provisional CPH and an active CPH a little bit later. We have 2,000 applicants in the pipeline at any given time. We have 10 schools and programs that require the CPH to graduate with your MPH. We have 13 schools and programs who offer a discount for the CPH exam for significant CPH participation. And lastly, we have 6 organizations that strongly encourage the CPH exam to their employees or membership and offer a discount, as well as free study materials. So here are some Icahn statistics. Since 2003, we have had 3 alumni sit for the CPH exam. So 3 alumni, and all of them have passed. So far to date, there have been no students who have taken the exam. The pass rate for Icahn is 100%. The MPH has been a proud member of the Institute for Credentialing Excellence since 2014. The MPH, we show our support of the credentialing community and our commitment to strive for excellence in our CPH recertification program. We also have plans to apply for the National Commission for Certifying Agencies, the NCCA accreditation program. This program proves and will prove that the MPH has met and can maintain professional standards of excellence with all of our processes, which include ethics, governance, test development, security, and ensuring that we have the proper protocols in place. So why the CPH? The Certified in Public Health is the only credential in public health that demonstrates not only your knowledge of key public health sciences, but also your commitment to the field through continuing education focused on emerging and established public health issues. The number one vision of the MPH is to professionalize the field of public health and to raise the visibility of the field itself. We strive to do this by administering the only public health examination that encompasses all core and cross-cutting areas of public health. We want to create an elite community of certified graduates, working professionals, faculty, leaders, and pioneers in public health. The CPH credential, like most certifications, demonstrates dedication and commitment to the field of public health beyond your education and into the workforce. The vision includes having a core standard body of knowledge, and lastly, to promote continuing education and lifelong learning. There are many reasons to get certified. Public health professionals need to stay at the forefront of their field. This is accomplished by thoroughly understanding the interaction between the different specialized areas of public health, learning new strategies to cope with disasters, and constantly working to stay ahead of any threat. The CPH credential helps public health professionals to achieve these evolving goals. Some of the benefits include increasing professionalism and building your career. The CPH provides mastery of core skills and knowledge. There are chances for potential salary increases and promotions. Earning a job in public health, for those students who haven't entered the public health workforce. And lastly, the CPH assures that you have met and can maintain a national standard of excellence. I'd like to share some testimonials with you before we really hash out the benefits and the reasons why to get CPH certified. So evidence of mastery in core skills and knowledge. This is Tanya Smith. She is from the United States Public Health Service, and she's a member of our pilot cohort, which I will describe to you in a bit. And she says that though I don't hold an MPH, I bring many years of invaluable real-world public health experience to the table. I reviewed the ASPPH CPH study guide as well as the other study resources. 3 months later, I successfully passed the first exam to be offered to candidates based solely on prior work experience. It has been one of my proudest professional accomplishments. Salary increases and promotions. Here we have Laura Ricardo. She is a registered nurse, an MPH, and a CPH Lieutenant Colonel of the Army Nurse Corps in the United States Army. She says that once I received my passing notice of the CPH exam, I received an $80,000 incentive bonus offered at that time in 4 increments and have continued to proudly serve my commission. Prove that you have met and can maintain the national standard in public health. Here we have Patrick Harper. He's a lieutenant commander with the United States Public Health Service, and he says that my CPH affirms that I possess the means to positively change lives, and it motivates me to remain dedicated to doing just that. I accept this challenge proudly in honor of my fellow CPH certified colleagues, my branch of service, and most importantly, the nation whose health I have sworn to protect, promote, and advance. So a lot of times we get the question, I have my MPH, so why do I need the CPH? And I'd be happy to answer that for you. Currently, as I mentioned, there are 10 CEIF accredited schools and programs of public health that are now requiring that you pass the CPH exam in order to graduate with your MPH. So students and alumni will not earn their MPH without achieving CPH certification first. And this tells us that the CPH exam tests knowledge and competency that a graduate level student or alumni should know to graduate with an MPH and work in public health. The CPH should be your next stop after earning the MPH in achieving a leadership role in public health. While we are seeing this trend that schools are coming to us, schools and programs are coming to us to give the culminating experience where our CPH exam will be the graduation exam for these schools and programs of public health. Since we're seeing this trend continue, it's important to realize that the MPH and the CPH go hand in hand, and that someday maybe all schools and programs will require you to earn the CPH before you earn your MPH. So it's good to go ahead and get it now. Employers are using the CPH as a hiring tool. You want to distinguish yourself from thousands of resumes that simply say MPH by adding the CPH. The CPH says that you are willing to take time out of your busy schedule to take the next step in your career, to show that you're dedicated and serious about the field of public health, to outshine your competitors in your profession, to prove that you've mastered all core and cross-cutting areas of key contemporary public health sciences. Go above and beyond your education by preparing for it and sitting for a voluntary examination, probably on your weekend off. Maintain the CPH credential with continuing education. So I want to talk really quick about our pilot program that we opened in the summer of 2015. For a short time period, I believe 3 months, individuals that had a bachelor's degree in any concentration with a minimum of 5 years of public health work experience verified by employers and transcripts may qualify to sit for the CPH exam. Those applications were reviewed by our board of directors and they were deemed eligible to sit for the exam. And because we opened up the eligibility to include individuals that have work experience that are currently in the field, we are starting to see that the CPH is populating the public health workforce. These individuals are obtaining the credential and they're pushing the certification forward into their health departments. And the MPPHE is starting to see that employers are putting a preference or requirement for the CPH in their job postings online. From this pilot program, we received many applications from Food Drug Administration, Bureau of Prisons, U.S. Army, Homeland Security, the United States Public Health Service. Many individuals who are currently working in the field now are earning this credential, and more employers are asking, what is this? Why is this important? And they're beginning to give salary increases as well as pay for recertification or exam fees. Do employers care about the CPH? Diane Matsuzaki is an MPH and an MD. She says that as a public health administrator in both local and state health departments, I was often responsible for the hiring decisions. I found a great deal of variability in the form and content of graduate degrees in public health. The CPH is a credential recognizable by employers, providing assurance that an applicant possesses a solid knowledge base in core public health content areas routinely used in practice today in health departments. What do these organizations have in common? They want all their employees or membership to earn the CPH credential. So why is this important to me? Since we opened our eligibility to include individuals that have work experience, the CPH has been populating the public health workforce. More employers are acknowledging the credential and offering to pay or reimburse for exam or recertification fees. More employers are offering salary increases and promotions to those that earn the credential. Some organizations are offering a discount for the CPH exam and free study materials for their entire department, their staff, or their entire membership to sit for the CPH exam. Other organizations are setting up learning courses to prepare their employees for the exam. Some CPH-accredited schools and programs are putting a requirement to pass the CPH exam to earn your to graduate with your MPH. Other CPH-accredited schools and programs are offering a discount for the CPH exam and free study materials to their students and alumni for significant CPH participation to sit for the exam. And again, we are also seeing a trend of employers putting a preference or a requirement for the CPH in their job postings. So for students, some students are required to earn the CPH to graduate with their MPH. So when you graduate and you enter the public health workforce, you're going to see your peers and or competitors with the MPH plus the CPH behind their name. so don't get left behind. Whether your school or program extends a discount or requires the exam for graduation, you should sit for the CPH exam while you are still in school. You're at a disadvantage against your MPH, CPH peers if you do not. Alumni. Whether you're already working or whether you're searching for a job in public health, you're going to see the CPH credential, and you will be at a disadvantage if you do not decide to achieve it. Students graduating coming up from under you are obtaining the credential, and those individuals who are already in the working field are earning the credential as well. Professional colleagues are proudly boasting about passing the exam, and they're framing their certificate. So don't get left behind. Go ahead and sit for the CPH exam. I wanted to tell you about our public health jobs website. ASPPH has a website called publichealthjobs.org, and this website is specifically and only for employers who are seeking individuals who are working in public health, and it's also for job seekers who are looking for jobs in public health. So if you're looking for a position, you could try going to publichealthjobs.org to see if there are any public health positions available, and you will see that some employers are requiring or putting a preference for the CPH in their job postings. This website is through the Association of Schools and Programs of Public Health, and again it is www.publichealthjobs.org. And here's a snapshot from Public Health Jobs. These are the organizations right now, well, a snapshot of organizations right now that are putting a preference or a requirement for the CPH in their job postings. So the CPH process. The CPH process begins with eligibility. You need to determine whether you are eligible under the 3 pathways that we provide as eligibility criteria. Next, you would prepare for, schedule, and sit for the CPH exam. And lastly, we'll discuss recertification and continuing education. But basically, the eligibility is CEF accredited schools and students and alumni of CEF accredited schools and programs of public health, or public health work experience, which is those 5 years of public health work experience plus a bachelor's degree in any concentration. Your next step is to prepare and sit for the examination. There's 200 questions, multiple choice with 12 domain areas. And lastly, you would recertify and sign the Code of Ethics. So eligibility. All graduates of CEF accredited schools and programs of public health are eligible to sit for the CPH examination. All students, graduate students who have completed or are enrolled in the core coursework of biostatistics, epidemiology, environmental health, health policy and management, and behavioral sciences. So you either have to have completed all of those core classes but not graduated yet, or you have to have been taken some of them and be enrolled in the remaining. You have to have either been enrolled in all of them or have completed them in order to sit for the CPH exam. And our last eligibility criteria is the public health work experience, which the pilot did so well that we decided to implement this as a permanent eligibility criteria. So individuals who have a minimum of 5 years of public health work experience plus a bachelor's degree in any concentration may be eligible to sit for the CPH exam. So I did tell you there is a difference between provisional CPH and active CPH, and I'm going to go ahead into that right now. When a student sits for the CPH exam, they're provisionally certified. When an alumni or anyone qualifying through work experience sits for the exam and they pass, they're automatically certified as an active CPH professional. So, so an alumni or working eligibility individual signs up, registers, takes the exam, passes, and then from there, we will send them the username and the password to the CPH recertification portal. They'll be able to begin accumulating continuing education credits and track them in the portal. You'll receive your CPH virtual certificate, which is a unique URL to send employers, which you can also upload to your LinkedIn and your social media platforms and email signature. You'll also be sent, you'll also be able to put the CPH behind your name and on your business cards, resumes, social media platforms. You'll be placed on the Search for a CPH registry where employers can verify your active CPH status. And you'll be able to purchase CPH merchandise. You'll be invited to the CPH closed LinkedIn group, and you'll receive notifications, the CPH quarterly newsletter and e-blast to let you know of upcoming public health events and continuing education activities that are occurring in your area for recertification. So students who pass the CPH exam are provisionally certified, which means that they cannot use the CPH behind their name after they pass the exam. They can put provisional CPH, but they're not an active CPH until they graduate. So if you're a student and you register and you sit and you pass the exam, you're provisionally certified until your graduation date. And when you graduate, you don't need to do anything. Your school or program will log into our portal and they will key in your graduation date, which will send me an email to go ahead and fully certify you. And so after your graduation, you'll be fully certified as an active CPH, and you'll receive the username, password to the portal, and you can begin to accumulate credits and everything that we mentioned before for the active CPH. You'll be able to receive those and do those items. That takes us to the exam content. So CPH exam. The exam, we have 25 questions under general principles. And then we have the core areas and the cross-cutting items. So you're going to have 30 questions in biostatistics. You're going to have 30 questions in epidemiology, 30 in environmental health, 30 in health policy and management, and 30 in social and behavioral sciences. And then you'll have 25 items in the cross-cutting area, which include communication and informatics, diversity and culture, leadership, professionalism, program planning, public health biology, and systems thinking. The CPH exam is a timed exam. You have 4 hours to complete it. There are 200 items. They're all multiple choice. You're not allowed to bring scratch paper or calculators. However, I have been told that the biostatistics are not calculations. You just have to recognize formulas. All questions are multiple choice and single best answer. We have 2 ways to sit for the CPH exam. We have computer-based and we have paper-based. So at this time, you can sit for the exam during the entire month of February, the entire month of June, or the entire month of October. We have about 200 plus testing facilities around the world, and I think we're adding more. You can sit Monday through Sunday, actually. As long as the testing facility is open, you can go and schedule and sit for your exam during those 3 months. We also offer paper and pencil examinations. These are mostly for the schools and programs that offer a discount on the CPH for their students. What they'll do is they'll set up a paper and pencil examination on their campus, and all of their students will go and sit for the exam on the same day in the same room by paper-based. We do need 90-day lead time for that, and we do require a minimum of 8 candidates. So the difference between computer-based exams and paper-based is that with the computer-based exam, you're going to key in your zip code into our website to find the testing location, testing center closest to you. You're going to schedule your exam, and then you're going to drive to that testing facility on the day of the exam, sit for the exam, and once you hit submit on your test, a printout of your scores will be available to you. So instant scoring is available with computer-based exams. However, you have 72 hours to register before and you have 72 hours to reschedule before you sit. So if you need to reschedule, you want to definitely make sure that you do that 72 hours beforehand so you are not charged. Paper-based exams, it's a little bit different. There's a 30-day registration deadline. So you need to register 30 days in advance. And this doesn't include instant scoring. So when a whole classroom of individuals sits for the exam paper-based, all of the test booklets are mailed back to PSI, AMP, our testing vendor, who will then score the test booklets, and you'll receive your scores about 3 to 4 weeks after the testing administration. How is the CPH exam scored? There's a content-based analysis that determines the minimum passing standard to required to achieve certification. Now, each exam is different, so we can't tell you the passing score that you need to get in order to become a CPH, because every exam is scored differently, every exam is weighted differently. So we can tell you that 75% of people that sit for the exam on their first take pass, and it's handled on a pass-fail basis. Candidates who do pass will receive a percentage of their pass-fail, whereas candidates who fail will receive a scaled scoring. So it'll say a percentage that you did in biostats or a percentage in social and behavioral sciences. So you'll know which areas you didn't do very well in, and you can prepare and study those areas again for the next time you sit for the exam. So we have a test development process, and I'm going to go through this one pretty quickly. If you have specific questions about test development, please feel free to email us, and I'd be happy to get you some more information. But the CPH exams are created using multiple choice test items, which are drawn from a CPH item bank. And the MPH selects faculty and practitioners each year to write new questions for the item bank. These item writers are trained on writing items for standardized exams, and they're given specific assignments based on deficits in the item bank and their particular area of expertise. So new item writers are assigned to an inexperienced item writer for mentorship, and then they will assist them with edits before items are submitted. More experienced item writers submit their items directly to the new item pool for review. And the new items are categorized by level of difficulty and the specific area of knowledge of the content outline that the item addresses. So the items are then submitted for a review by a committee of item writers who refine and edit items before they are submitted to the bank for a second round of review. At least one new test form is developed each year, and a form review committee reviews each exam as a whole and makes further edits to the individual items, in addition to the composition of the form itself. And following the testing administration of an exam, the form review committee examines the performance of each item and makes adjustments for items which do not discriminate between weak and strong examinees or do not simply perform well. So what does that mean? That means that if everybody gets question 5 wrong, question 5 is going to get thrown out as a bad question. If everybody's getting question 12 right, that means that question's too easy and needs to be looked at. We want each question to be fair and be analyzed, and so we do an analysis of each exam every year. And again, if you want more information on that, please go ahead and email us at info@mbphe.org. I'd be happy to get you some more information on test development. So who will see my scores? Students and alumni candidates. So those who are going to apply as a student or alumni, your scores will be sent to Icahn. The scaled scores, the school is going to receive a scaled score scored by content area for each candidate. So they're going to see your raw scores per each section, and they'll also receive a comparison of performance of all candidate results compared with the school candidates by content area. So what does that mean? That means that your school is going to get your raw scores, and then they're going to get a report that is accumulative from all of the examinees that have ever sat for Icahn, they're going to get a report that shows all of the domain areas and how the students have done percentage-wise, which a lot of schools are using these reports to beef up their curricula. You know, they're looking at these reports and saying, you know, our students aren't really doing that well in epidemiology. Maybe we should beef up the curricula in that area. So they're using these our reports to analyze their students, their alumni, and their coursework. And public health work experience candidates, that would be any faculty in the room. Your CPH scores will be provided to MPH through a secure portal from our testing vendor, and the scores are sent USPS to you, as well as they live in your CPH recertification portal. So only you will have access to your CPH scores, whereas students and alumni, your school or program are going to receive your scores. Registering for the exam. So this is the way the MPH website looks right now. We're doing a little facelift on it, but this is what you're going to see when you go to our website. You want to hover over Get Certified on the left-hand corner of the side in the ribbon. It's going to take you to Register Now. And under Register Now, you will see that there's a bucket for student and alumni, and there's a bucket for public health work experience. So students and alumni want to click on that left bucket, which will take them to our testing vendor's website. PSI is our testing vendor. They used to be called AMP, but they were just acquired by PSI. So you may see PSI, you may see AMP, you may see a combination. They're both our testing vendor. They're just switching names right now. And so what you want to do when you click on that bucket and it takes you to their web page, you want to create your account online. When you select Icahn in the drop-down, it's going to send an email to the representative at Icahn for the CPH program, who will log into our system and verify your education, so that way you can sit for the exam. They'll also log back in at the end of each semester and key in graduation dates, so for those students that pass the exam. So you don't need to do anything. You just log in and or you just create your account and you select your school and you answer the demographic questions and you pay online, and that will shoot an email to your school, who will log in, verify your experience, your education or your graduation, and you will be able to log back in at that time and schedule your exam. There are some discounts available, and there are vouchers available. And then, of course, you know, you'll get that email to log back in and schedule your exam. I'm going to quickly go over the public health work experience, but you would click on that bucket on the right, and that would take you to our online application, where you would enter your public health work experience. You'd upload your transcripts and resume. You'd pay online, and your application would be reviewed. If you're approved, PSI will contact you to schedule the exam. If you're not approved, you'll be refunded in full. And just a little note, individuals who are part of one of the discount groups who are applying, they'll pay the full price for the CPH exam, and then after you sit for the exam, you'll be mailed a reimbursement check for the difference. So this is important to remember. Your first time rescheduling is free. So if you schedule the CPH exam and then you realize, oh no, I have something to do and I'm going out of town, you have to call them 72 hours before your exam, and the first reschedule will be free. If you need to reschedule again, they're going to tack on a $125 fee. So every time that you need to reschedule, you're going to pay $125. So what I would do if I were you is be 100% sure when you schedule that exam date that, you know, that you'll only need to reschedule once if you need to at all. So scheduling, rescheduling, and deferrals. You have 2 years of eligibility from the time you start your application. All scheduling, rescheduling, and deferrals must go through PSI, our testing vendor. There's that reschedule fee, again, just to let you know, and then there's PSI's phone number. So if you need to reschedule, you could just log into your online account and reschedule. But if you're having difficulty with your online account, you can call PSI at that phone number and they'd be happy to help you. And again, I'm sending these the PDF of these slides to you guys, so you'll have this information. Retaking the exam. You can take the exam as many times as you like. There's no limit on how often you can retest. So if you sit for the exam June 1 and you sit by computer-based, so you get your exam scores that day, and you fail, you can go ahead and schedule 3 days later and sit again. There's no testing, there's no retake policy at this point. All right, that takes us to CPH study resources. We have a content outline, we have sample exam questions, we have practice exams, and we have webinars. So this is what the content outline looks like currently. The CPH content outline is your map to prepare for the exam. Basically, every question on the exam can point back to a line item in the content outline. So if it's on the content outline, it's going to be on the exam. And you want to print this out. I think it's about 14 pages, and you just want to use it while you take notes as you study the ASPPH CPH study guide. We have sample questions. They're free to you on the website. There are 13 questions, and they're mostly just to show you the format of the exam, just to show you that, that you have 4 multiple choice options and how the questions are written, rather than, actually taking it as a test. It's just to show you the way that the format of the exam is. But we do have practice exams, and they're free to you on the website. We have a 100-question practice exam and 2 50-question practice exams. So you can see if you're prepared. We also have the ASPPH CPH study guide, and this is what I recommend to everybody. This is our online interactive study guide. It's 88.10% of folks that use this has said that it was helpful and they passed the exam using it. There's an overview of each area and the cross-cutting areas. There's definitions and terminology. There's suggested reading. There's a 100-question practice test, 2 50-question practice tests, study tips, and the cost is $39.99 for a 1-year subscription. There are discounts for the ASPPH CPH study guide. And this is the website that you would go to in order to purchase the CPH study guide. So how do I access the ASPPH CPH study guide? You go to that URL right there, and we're going to talk about discounts in a little bit. But if you are part of one of those discount groups, you would enter the discount code within your account at that URL, and it'll give you a 0 balance. We also have webinars. We have 3-hour-long webinars on each of the core areas and cross-cutting areas of public health. They're recorded every January by an ASPPH member faculty, and they're free to listen to. You can also, after you earn the CPH, you can listen to the CPH study session webinars again if you are lacking in credits to recertify. So since they're 3 hours long, you get 1 credit per 1 hour. So that would come out to a total of 18 CPH recertification credits in the event that you are lacking credits for recertification. I just want to tell you about our CPH Learning Institute. Every year at the American Public Health Association's annual meeting, we hold a 2-day learning course. It is supposed to strengthen your knowledge and boost testing confidence to prepare you for the CPH exam. So you would attend the APHA annual meeting and you would sign up for the CPH Learning Institute, where you would sit in a classroom for 8 hours on Saturday and 8 hours on Sunday, where you'd learn all the core areas and cross-cutting areas of public health. And after that, you could, if you decided that you wanted to, you would be able to sit for the CPH exam that following Monday, paper-based. Stay tuned for more information. I believe registration opens June 1st. Okay, so I did mention that there are some schools and programs and organizations that are strongly or requiring the CPH exam for graduation, and I just wanted to show you which schools those are. So the schools and programs that are requiring the CPH exam for graduation are listed here. Here are the 10 schools and programs that require their students to earn the CPH in order to graduate with their MPH. And here are the schools and programs that give significant CPH participation. This would be about 20 to 30% of their student body sit for the examination, which is why they're offered a discount and free study materials. And here are the 6 organizations with significant CPH participation. So if you're a student, alumni, or faculty of Icahn, however, you're a member of APHA, or you're a member of the United States Public Health Service, or any of these organizations listed here, you'll be offered a discount on the exam plus free study materials. So the standard fee for the CPH exam is $385. For those schools and programs that have 20 to 30% of their student body sit for the exam, they're offered a discount of $315 for the exam. We also offer the discount of $315 for large organizational groups such as APHA, American Public Health Center, Army Nurse Corps, all of the organizations on that last page that I showed you. And then lastly, there's schools and programs that require their students to sit for the CPH exam in order to graduate with their MPH. They pay $250 for the exam plus free study materials. And I would be happy to talk with anyone over at Icahn about the CPH discount program, and if there's enough interest generated, we'd be happy to tell you about that program and get you guys on board. So the CPH recertification process, it's a biannual recertification process. You have 2 years after you are certified to earn 50 CPH recertification credits and enter them into your online CPH recertification portal and pay the $95 fee every 2 years. Some recertification activities include college courses. So if you're taking any courses in public health, those courses will count towards recertification. You can get 15 CPH credits per course. There are conferences and professional events. If you attend APHA's annual meeting, or if you attend ASPPH's annual meeting, or any kind of public health related meeting, you can gain 1 CPH credit per 1 hour of attendance, up to 8 hours a day. So if you think about it, APHA's annual meeting is usually like 4 days long. So 4 times 8, is that 32? Will give you, enough credits. Then you just have to add some webinars and you're good to recertify. Faculty, instruction, professional contributions. You could volunteer, any kind of volunteership in public health or leadership service, such as sitting on a committee or a board. You can earn credit for that. We also give credit for CPH item writers. So after you sit for the exam, if you have a burning desire to write questions for the exam, you can sign up to be a CPH item writer and write questions for the exam and earn credit. You could also write a testimonial about your experience sitting for the CPH exam for the CPH quarterly newsletter, and you'll earn credit for that. Medical residencies, I believe, count for 25 CPH credits per year. So if you do a medical residency for 2 years, boom, you're done, you recertify. Dissertations count, podcasts count, webinars count. There's lots of things you can do in public health to recertify. This is currently what the portal looks like. We will be giving it a facelift soon. However, this is what it looks like now. You'll see that you can, your name will be there, as well as there's this pie chart. You'll see that the green box says pre-approved provider credits 0 and other credits 54. Now, what does that mean? So the MPH, we accredit certain organizations, certain public health organizations, so that when you attend their events or their webinars or their podcasts, you know for sure that it's approved by MPH and that you will get credit for it. However, we do accept activities from non-pre-approved providers, which means if you go to a public health conference that's not pre-approved by MPH, you can just shoot me an email and say, this is what I attended, and do you think it will count? As long as the activity pertains to one of the public health domain areas, it will count for recertification. And don't forget, that includes the cross-cutting areas, so leadership and professionalism. So it doesn't have to be 100% public health as long as it relates to one of those areas of the exam. You can find credits and providers in the portal and on our website. You can report activity, you can request an extension, and you can view your recertification history. Your CPH scores also live in here. You can update your contact info. We have a user manual and digital badges. Those are those colorful badges you'll see underneath the name Cynthia there. So within the portal, you can find credits and providers, pre-approved activities. And we also have digital badging. So badges are a visual representation of a skill or achievement. So as you're inputting your credits for recertification, if you're going above and beyond, if you earn 100 credits in 2 years rather than the 50 that's required, you're going to start to see these little badges popping up on your CPH recertification portal. And the more colorful they get, the more credits you've entered. And what's interesting about this is that when employers go to view whether you're active or not within our search for a CPH registry, those badges will be published there. So they'll be able to see that not only are you active, but you're really active. You go above and beyond with continuing education. I'd also like to tell you about a new feature that we haven't announced yet. So this is new for, I'm explaining this for the first time. So we have virtual CPH certificates. Basically, you're going to receive a secure URL that will take you to your certificate online. And you can link that to your LinkedIn. You can put it in your email signature. Basically, it's your URL to do what you want with. So you can, instead of, you can put it on your resume, so that way when employers are trying to verify whether you're an active CPH or not, they can just click on the link and view that your certificate is still in good standing. And there's a mobile view for it as well. We also will be sending out hard copy certificates with the embossed seal, I believe, for the remainder of the year. So we'll be phasing out the hard copy certificates as the virtual certificates take over. But if you want a hard copy certificate, you could always call and ask, and we'd be happy to create one for you. And here's our search for a CPH registry. And you can see here that if you key in somebody's last name, the CPHs with those last names will come up and show the MPH number along with your digital badges. Employers can also print your certificate cover letter that explains your cycle dates and your date of expiration. We also have CPH merchandise. So after you're certified, you go to cafepress.com/CPH and you can purchase a hoodie or a backpack or a notebook or a mug. There's several different items, so you should definitely check out cafepress.com/CPH after you're certified. And we have social media. So we have a Facebook that's open to the public where we will post things about, changes to the exam or recertification opportunities, any kind of nominations, or if we need CPHs for a committee or any kind of webinar we're putting on, we will post it on our Facebook. We also have a closed LinkedIn group. This LinkedIn group is only for CPH professionals. So once you are pass the exam as an alumni and you're a CPH, you'll be invited to the LinkedIn group. If you're a student that passes the exam, once you graduate and you're an active CPH, you'll be sent an invitation to join the LinkedIn group. And there we post about recertification opportunities coming up. Now, the next computer-based exam is held June 1 through 30, and you can take it any day that you would like. You can retake it as many times as you like. And we will be announcing soon that we're opening up our testing to be all year round. So eventually you won't have to sit for the exam during February, June, or October. You could sit for the exam anytime you want by computer-based. Okay, so that's the program. I'd be happy to open it up for questions if anybody has any questions. You can either key the questions into the question box on the right-hand side, or you can ask Christine, who will ask me the question. I'm not seeing any questions coming through.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We're typing in one question, but then we'll probably have to wrap up because there's a class coming in here next.
Okay. So I am not 100% sure if I've seen anybody who has the preventative board certification take this exam. However, we do have tons of people taking this exam who are trying to get the CHES certification, which is a public health credential for teachers. So it's, you know, if you want to sit for both credentials, it's going to make you even more marketable. And the preventative board certification complements the CPH, so it would be a good idea to get both. The only other credential that I'm aware of in public health is the CHES, which is for teacher specialists in public health. Yeah, when you take the practice exam, you're going to get a score, and it's timed, so it'll be just like sitting for the CPH exam. However, you know, we don't guarantee that the questions that you're going to see on the practice exam will be similar or the same as the questions on the actual exam, but it is good to take the practice exam to see what score you get to gauge how, if you're ready or not to sit for the CPH examination. And you definitely want to use that content outline with the ASPPH CPH study guide. So somebody's asking about the credentials, and so the CPH is the overarching credential in public health, and then there's the CHES, which is, I actually don't know what the acronym stands for, although I do know it is if you want to be a teacher in public health, specifically for the teaching profession. And if anybody has any further questions, please feel free to email us. I'm going to go ahead and it'll take a minute to turn this presentation into a YouTube link, but I'm going to go ahead and email everybody the documents and the YouTube link and the slides. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and email me back, and I'd be happy to answer them. If there are no more questions, I'll go ahead and close the presentation by saying thank you very much, and I hope to see all of you sit for the exam, and I will be sending you documentation so you have all of this information. Thank you again, and thank you, Christine, and thank you, Icahn. Have a great day.